All right, so we could probably start off with I wouldn't say controversial question. It's not like controversial at all.
Nah.
But like actual life at home and your parent life. Like what is that situation like?
Oh, my parent
If you
life.
can speak on it.
Yeah, I can. So, with my parent life, I haven't really seen my dad. That's one thing. My parents are divorced, so that's just my stepfather, my mom. Lucky, it's pretty cool. My brother just came back just last weekend on Saturday. He
Oh
came
shit,
over
really?
from California,
Yeah,
so
hell yeah.
I've been catching up with him. It's pretty nice. I love it. He told me some of the lore in California. He went over. If you've seen that one TV show, Pawn Stars, down in
Yeah.
Vegas, he went over there.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
it was his. It was. I think the name of the mom is Michelle or something like that, or I can't quite remember. And then his girlfriend August. Them two went down to the second best hotel in Vegas. It was
Damn.
all paid with their job, and so they went down. They went to Pawn
What is their
Stars.
job?
I don't quite really know. I don't quite remember honestly. But they do something over there. That's all I know. And so they went down to the Pawn Stars. That's where my brother got his shirt at. So I mean, you would think, oh, where's that guy at? That does that. He goes down to different locations, so he wasn't there that time. So they just got the
Mm.
shirt and got some souvenirs. I think it was pretty cool. And yeah, my brother's going to be staying here for a while, so it won't be until until I graduate that I might be the first one out before my brother. And then there's my younger two half siblings. I got Tyler and I got Sadie.
Hmm.
Um, they're a handful. So with that, I remember back then when my mom just married my stepfather. That was pretty controversial. It was pretty difficult.
Right.
Knowing back then after all that happened, it's kind of tough. So, um, just how a natural tween would just react to something like that. It would,
Right.
so we had our struggles. I kind of like really hated my stepfather. Plans to do some not not so nice stuff. So like one of the best things I was thinking of in terms of like doing something bad was pushing him down the stairs and like WWE, like super slamming him or
Yeah.
something.
Oh my
Just a
God.
kid's imagination. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So
It's like, was that sort of like the only effect it had, or was it like what other effects did it have on your life? Like, because I feel like parents kind of like that goes really far into your mind and
oh
life and stuff.
yeah. So I'd say psychologically, it kind of messes with you a little bit. Because I mean, I'm not gonna really say this is the reason why. It could be a fair reason. I back then I was identifying as a transgender. I
Right.
went by the name Lumi. Um, so I like the thought of being a woman because the boss figure that was in my life after my dad left was just my mom. So I thought
That
womanhood,
makes sense.
yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I guess that's where that kind of came from. I didn't really have that father figure in my life. I mean, yeah,
Right.
I had my teachers. I had my stepfather. He was nice, but I guess part of me back then was just like, I want to have my father. And this guy that came in out of the blue, because he just stayed over a long weekend. I'm like, what you doing here? He's like, oh yeah, I'm here now. I'm like, what?
Damn, that's a terrible
So
way to do it.
that really hit me and my brother hard.
Right.
And then he tried bossing us around. That was at first it wasn't. He kind of had to transition a bit, but I think with the lack, I mean, I would see my stepfather or not my stepfather. I would see my dad. Like every other weekend, the custody switches, stuff like that. So I would see him. It transitioned to I'd see my mom one week and then my dad another. So it was that's when I think my dad was really which kind of goes into another topic. Since my father is really controlling, he's really manipulative. So I think
Mm.
just and also being swayed one way or another. That's why we kind of thought, my mom was kind of doing all of the whip cracking, put the rules down while my dad's like the lenient guy, trying to make it open, make it seem fun. So we live with him and
Right.
switch all the custody and whatnot. So that like, back then that made me really not like my mom, but once I went into therapy with my one old therapist, Miranda, about 2 years ago, I started to see the light in my mom, and it really changed like drastically how I'm like, wow, my dad is really a dick. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like really put it up my ass, right? So with that, I kind of thought, my father was nice, but he was really controlling. He was micromanaging a lot, and he was really verbally and mentally abusive to my brother. He got the brunt of it. But
Yeah, the oldest. Yeah.
yeah, that's so it really had an effect on me. I would say emotionally, I felt like I started to kind of like close off a bit. I wasn't as open. I kind of thought of it as like, oh yeah, I'm like that one cheery, happy kid all around. Everyone likes me, but now I'm starting to get a little more reserved.
Right.
And with that, if I was to kind of speak my opinion around my father, he would start to outlash, verbally, and so I kind of kept my opinions to myself. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, because nowadays, if you speak your opinions, people start to hate you a bit, but that's
Yeah.
only like a select few people.
Right.
But I would say that it really changed me in terms of like, speaking to people, and it really had a mental toll as well. Like I was really, really depressive, and I remember there was one time I was just so out of it. I was at my stepmom's house down in Marietta. That's where my dad lived.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was so bad where I literally took one of the kitchen knives and I pointed it to my brother because I was so mad at him. It was almost like the cliche angel versus devil on your shoulders, and the devil guy was saying like, oh, you should kill him. Oh, you should taunt him or something. But I was just kind of standing there motionless, and I was just keeping my head down, and I was just standing there when my brother walked in. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I didn't really say anything, and then he just walked away, and I put it back in. But that was like the worst, and it was also like it could have been something where I could have hurt him, but I felt like I could have almost hurt myself doing something like that. That was probably the closest I've got to like almost a suicide in a sense.
Yeah.
But I knew I never had the balls to actually do something like that. So,
Yeah.
friends and family has always been a stronghold for me. So I never thought like, I can't just let them down, And especially with my one closest friend, Aurora, I've been friends with her for 15 years. I'm like, I can't just let her down, you know. So, without them, I felt like, I probably wouldn't be here right now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Damn.
and it's also just the morals that I've always lived with, My mom has been a really good role model in terms of morals, and especially my grandmother, on my mom's side, she's Christian, so I've kind of got those Christian morals in me.
All right,
I'm
so
just kind of stuck with it, yeah. So I also kind of felt like during the latter years of trying to recover from all that, maybe about a year ago or maybe like half a year ago at the start of this year, that's when I really started to get a little more in tune with Christianity, thinking, oh wow, not all Christians are just just the happy-go-lucky guys that always get this stuff
Right,
and just
yeah.
praises. They're all broken people, and with that, it's they just find that salvation and that happiness in Jesus Christ, and it and that's where they find their happiness, is through that, and that's what helps them. So it's not always healthy, already healed people going into it. Like it was broken people and they needed help.
Yeah.
I ain't been this high on Perkins in a long time. I ain't been this high on Perkins in a long time. I took 2 30s and a half of a third one. I feel like I can see everything with my third eye. Feel like I'm floating, see the world from a bird's eye view. These drugs remind me of a girl I knew. A little sweet, a little sour, and it vibes with the mood. Ain't no competition, baby, but I'm higher than you. Pray to God I never come down, down, down.